YouTube, here's the first one of those weird guitars I had in yesterday. So after looking through, I just typed in danelectro into Google, try and find out what it is. It's a Pro, danelectro Pro. An interesting thing. It's got an awful lot of weird things going on. Yeah, so this is a 2001, I think. The serial number starts 01, made in China version. Obviously these were old 50s guitars, which were kind of bizarre, and wow, that I need to rearrange my pedal board. I was going to use the delay pedal, but it just it hums, and I can just hear it in the back of my head going probably doesn't come through in the mic. So no delay. Yes, no delay at all. This was really quick. I only got it yesterday. I was working on it last night till midnight, so I've not actually tried it at volume because it was midnight. I don't want to be blasting out some thing. I'm thinking this is going to absolutely love my wee Delamo fuzz pedal. So these were catalogue guitars in America, I think, something like that. So it's basically, if you imagine getting like it's a semi-hollow, so it's like what you do is you cut out this shape, right, out of, I think it's pine, or originally I don't know what this one would be made of, and then it's kind of hollow inside. It's like the outside bit is hollow, and then it's got a top and a back put on made out of MDF or hardboard, as it used to be called. Or it used to be called something else in the 60s, which is like kind of wood fibres compressed together and glued. Oh, who's that? Send me a message. Oh, I'll get back to it. Yeah. Oh, to talk about messages, I got a message from YouTube this morning. Getting more views this month than I have ever before. Cheers, guys. I don't know what I did. I've never had a message from YouTube telling me that either. Not a specific message. I think if you go into it and look in the analytics, it comes up. But actually, just it sent me a message as if it was important. So up your YouTube. Oh, what's that? Oh, yes. So 2 lipstick pickups, hardboard back and front, mental shape. Probably one of my surfing through all the to try and find out what shape it was. One of my favourite shapes of danelectro. Definitely, some of them are horrible looking. Yes. Bolt on neck. Lots of interesting things. Oh, I've not done that yet. I'm going to make a back panel for it. You can sort of see the construction there. Actually, it's like, you know, it really is kind of. It's sort of like see if IKEA make guitars, you know, or something like that. Kind of very 50s. But I don't even know what scale it is. I do have a measuring tape, but these are definitely interesting. I think I always put me off for these, as they were never really that cheap. It's a 20. I'd probably put that at 25-inch scale. So there you go, Mister. I was saying that PRS was like, 25-inch scale. That's somewhere between the 24 3/4 of a Gibson and the 25.5 of a Fender. And I was like, PRS, my Washburn wings are 25. 10, 20 years before PRS. This is, these are 50s. So I'd imagine that's, they invented the 25-inch scale somewhere in the middle, trying to do their own thing. So that the guy who made these was like a sort of an engineering type person. Quite interesting. This one has modern upgrades though, as in, see this bridge? It's actually got saddles on it. The original type of this bridge had just had a wee bit of wood sit there, so it's like no intonation. This does have intonation. There's no height. There's no individual height in adjustment, so which kind of makes sense, to be honest. If you've got like a set radius of your neck, I don't know, is it 10 or 12 or whatever it is, then the bridge can just be set to that. That's fine. Why would you want the radius to be different? I can understand if you're using the same bridge for lots of different guitars. There's different. You can't if your Fender, for example, they don't 7 1/4 inch radius is your sort of vintagey, then 9.5, and you get 12 for the sort of heavy metal one. So you could put the same bridge with all the adjustable saddles on each one, and then just adjust it to fit each one. Fair enough. But if you just make all your guitars the same radius, then you don't need to have grub screws and height adjustment, which must make it a lot cheaper to manufacture. So the bridge is kind of a bit weird. It's just basically 2 wood screws and then another wood screw. This guitar didn't have an earth in it, so it does now. That's the number of times I had to take this thing to bits last night. I've calmed down a bit now, so I'm quite pleased I did it last night. But The neck's quite bendy. It's like the whole guitar's quite bendy, to be honest. So it's like the truss rods, you're kind of tuning it up and then pulling the truss rod back a little too far, and it's like every time you want to adjust the truss rod, you have to take the neck off because it adjusts from in this end. So I've had this neck off 10 times, something like that. 10 times and then on, tuned up. Truss rod's not right, and all this, and then once I'd done all that, I realised it wasn't an earthling. So I'm glad I'm calmed down now. We can just enjoy playing it. It's got an aluminium nut, which is a strange thing with a wee screw in the top. Mental stuff. These tuners, although they look kind of like normal tuners, they're actually, which is quite common with this guitar, the gearing on them is one turn. You know, the ratio in, I think it's Gotos, you get ones that say 18:1 on them, so that means you turn this 18 times and the actual shaft bit that's got the string on it turns once. I think these are about 4:1, because I mean, if I just went woomph, it would be up about 6 notes. You know, to take the string off is like 1, 2, 3, the string's off. They're really, you have to move them a quarter of a degree for fine tuning, which is fine. The same with the bridge posts. These are just wood screws, and they're not wood screws with like a, if you imagine, it's not like that. They're like that. So basically, it's like that screw goes from, it's that length. If you give it 4 turns, it's out. So it's like, how much? Oh, I'll just lower the bridge a millimeter. So you put the screwdriver in and you go, that's it. That's too much. It really, really tight tolerances. Just have a thinner. It's part of the charm though. You don't buy a danelectro because you're buying a Les Paul, or you buy it because it's something different, and it's not just this shape, but a normal guitar, which you get a lot of guitars, modern guitars these days. It's like, oh, you get all different shapes, especially modern guitars. It's like, the neck carve's all the same on them, and it's like, okay, this is a PRS, this is a Les Paul, this is a Strat. They've all kind of the same similar feeling, similar everything. This is a bit more mental. The neck on it's actually not. It's not super. I'm gonna say super interesting. I don't even know how you describe it. Just like a normal feeling neck, really. I did notice it. This is one of the first guitars I've ever really noticed the high fret access. Though, playing away, and it's like pure. I'm there. Obviously, you would think, you can clearly play on the 12th without this one. That's me pretty much maxed out. So I mean, if you want to go higher than, well, okay, there's like 14th. I can with a wee bit. I can't get my pinky to the 15th. So you can't have your thumb over the top. You have to get up to these. The frets are there though. The scratch plate is also MDF. Kind of bizarre. Volume and a tone. The pickups are wired in series. I assume they're meant to be, because it does work, but I assume it's meant to be in series. So you've got neck and bridge as the 2 outside ones, but in the middle you've got the 2 of them wired together, and they're not hum cancelling, so it doesn't make a humbucker. It just makes an in series sound, which is part of the danelectro sound probably. I think this switch to me doesn't look right for this guitar. I think that, when this guitar was new, this is like a 2001 model or something, this would be the right switch, but I'd imagine the original danelectros probably had like a light switch or something, or some other sort of switch that you could get from something else. I know that Watkins Rapiers used to have Pifco hairdryer switches, where the switches that turned the pickups on off were ones off the hairdryer factory that was across the road type thing, and that's kind of what this is. Lipstick pickups, which actually, well, this is a reissue, but the original ones, these were literally, there was a lipstick factory across the road that made lipstick cases, and they basically just bought the lipstick cases off them and then put pickups in the actual cases. So they are actually, or they were actually, but they're similar. So they're sort of tubular pickups. Yes, these also mount from the back. These screws, I have to put new screws in it. These ones are black, but I don't think that really matter. So the actual pickups have they're mounted from the back. That's why there's no, see, they don't have a screw on either side. So the back of the pickup, it's got like two bits of metal that kind of sit down like that, like springs that sit like that, and literally when you screw them in, they're just pushing against the inside of the body. That's how it's got some, you know, they've got some bounciness to them. It's all pretty mental stuff. I've been talking for 10 minutes, I've not even got to it yet. What else is really bizarre about this? So it's got the neck bolts. There's no, again, all these screws are all, they're not normal neck bolts. They're like wood screws, so they're like, you know, 3 turns and they move that much. And it's like, I'll just put this screw in, 1, 2, 3, done, as opposed to like in a normal guitar, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, done. Ratios. But it does have a thing, I'll give it that. It's definitely, I mean, it's not plugged in, well, it's plugged in, but it's not turned on, but it's got a real jangly to it. And the whole thing's vibrating. Last thing about talking about it is, so it's a pine frame with MDF stuck on the back and the front, and then this is just a sort of vinyl tape. You can actually see it's hanging off a wee bit there. You can see it kind of picking up. This is literally just like a sort of iron-on edging tape put around the outside, so they didn't have to paint it. Great stuff. But it really does have a very acousticy, jangly thing going on about. Which, actually thinking about it, maybe that was a very intentional thing for maybe people didn't have amps, especially if you were buying like a budget guitar. You know, like back in the 50s and stuff, guitars were much, much more expensive in relative terms as they are now. You know, I mean, now you're talking about, really, it's not that difficult to find a guitar for 100 quid sort of thing. Yeah. Okay, no, it's okay, 200 quid. But I mean, back then, it's like, you know, you didn't get second-hand ones, so the only guitar you could probably afford was this, and I think something like a Telly or a Strat was like the equivalent of $4,000, something like that. So something like this would be a couple of $100 quid, as opposed to $4,000, you know, like a 20th of the price, and you can still play it. It's just, I'm not going to say it's compromised all over the way, but it's been, almost everything's been redesigned from, well, when I say redesigned, when was this Telecaster? The 50s, I think these were the 50s as well. So, just a slightly different attempt to tackle the same problem. Look at it that way. But I've got it playing, I've got the action down quite low, set up quite nicely, all set to go. I think I'm pretty much done. Let's hear what it sounds like. So, bridge pickup. Orange TH30, no pedals on. Oh. Reverb on. See the way I'm almost playing it like an acoustic, because it sounds quite acousticy. Middle pickup. So that's both of them in series. Neck pickup. Quite nice. Bridge. Middle position, so it sees, which is much louder. Right now, I think my wee Delamo fuzz pedal was going to kick ass with this. at 21 frets. So rat pedal it up, and I was like, no tone. Well, that may be quite good with the first pedal actually. No tone. It's actually got a treble bleed on it, like a capacitor jumping over the volume control. So high fret access isn't super, but I mean that's not really what we're going for. I'm just trying to play all the things that I think are the most on a pop. Oh no, a bit of a bit of Cradle of Filth, perhaps. I need to remember how to play that Megadeth song, the Go to Hell. Dung 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 ah, dung 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 ah. I've not played that song in ages. I need to try and get the band to play that. That's what I want. That's what I need. Everything I want to make my eardrums bleed. That's fucking up. I wanna go hot rockin'. Aye. So, I mean, I kind of get it, to be honest. The danelectro thing. It wasn't a huge amount of fun to work on. This one was pretty knackered, to be honest. The previous owner's favourite note was this one. Here. It's kind of, which is kind of quite high. What would that be? That'd be a D G, a G sharp. What must have been his favourite note, because this fret was absolutely fucked. Like totally that one fret. It's almost like someone had it and just went and nothing else. Maybe there was a whole song that was just that note, something like that. So I kind of had to do some pretty extreme fret work on it. The frets were, I did a sort of usual fret dress up to there, and then by the time you get to this note, I just got the big bastard file out and ramped it. Thinking that you're not likely to, if this was like an Ibanez RG, you know, like one of these or something like that, really you want to be able to go up at the top. On this one, you can play these notes, but you're not doing lots of fancy shit up here where you need, you know, they work basically. And it's like the last fret. It's like, you look at it, think about it, you know, because all the frets are all like, you know, in a line. When you get to the last fret can be much lower than all the other ones. It just means it doesn't get in the way. So basically, this fret's practically nothing, and then they ramp up to like this, to the 12th fret when they're normal. So there's like normal frets, gets to the 12th fret, it does that, which works. I just wanted it to work. The guy was really said, I think he bought this guitar 20 odd years ago and used to really like it, and it's like it had seen better days, but now it's refurbed. It seems alright. All I need to do is just build that back plate, which I've still no idea how to do it. It's one of those things that's, yeah, I could make it a piece of metal, but it's going to take me hours. This would never have had this. This would just have been a shitey bit of plastic. So I'm going to try and find a piece of plastic from something and just cut it up with a knife and stick it in. I think that's what the original one would have been. But there is, I don't think, it doesn't hold tune amazing. It's held tune. Must be in my head a little bit there. I kind of wanted to show you how, like how talking about these machine heads been a little bit. So there's half a turn. Just get used to it though. I think every time you start modifying these things, you know, you start going, right, well, I'll put in, well, this does have an intonable bridge on it, which is already a compromise to the point of, it's not a real danelectro, is it? What, you can intone it? No. And it's the same with these tuners. These tuners, although they're really high geared, I think the original ones were probably made out of like parts of a sewing machine or something like that, so they're probably much more vintage correct and full of character. But you know, the compromise is to make it actually play in tune. You kind of need to put proper tuners on it, which it does have, although they're kind of mad ones. And like, you know, you want saddles on the bridge so you can intone it. Yeah. All these wee things. I shimmed the neck as well. Yeah. So, I mean, again, my issue with these is the price. These are not... I haven't put the video out yet. I did. I need to check. I said I'd test one first. I had the GoPro in my head when I was at the guy's house. Alan, lovely guy. From the Bucky Rage, and I couldn't find the video that I pure loved. There's actually, they did a song. The reason I know them is they did a song called Ghost Rider. We're playing at the 13th note, and I don't know whether they maybe fell out with one of the band members, or maybe it wasn't them. Well, maybe it wasn't one of them that took the video. Well, they were on stage, you would imagine. So maybe it was someone not related. You know, someone who was just at the gig that filmed it, but the sound was much better. The one that I put in the video at the end, which was the right song, was one of those too close to the speakers on my phone ones, where it was just you couldn't really hear it. All you really got was, what was the word I used? Abrasiveness. But I've never actually seen them live. I need to make a point of going to see them at some point. And I obviously need to work out some way of... when I saw this, I was like, oh, you don't have a Bucky caster? You painted this green. Yellow scratch plate. Bucky label. And he just kind of went, so... No, he doesn't want a Bucky caster. And I don't think he would, to be honest, looking at the guitars he's got, I don't think he would want like a Strat or something like that, which, you know, most of the Bucky casters are Strats. Partly just because I like to get the three colours. It's nice to have, you can just paint the plastic pickup covers red, scratch plate, marigold, body green, Bucky colour. Whereas when you get like a Les Paul or something else, it doesn't have, you need to have three colours to make it. But a bit of a pig to work on. But now I've done it. I've been saying that was the first time I've done it. Now I know what I'm doing. I've got that wee Sakai to do for him as well. And that was a bastard. The last one I did. But no, the two ago I did. And then the one ago was fine because I'd already done that. Whereas I think it would probably be the same with this. If I got another danelectro, regardless really of the shape. A lot of these concepts are... I've never seen it before. So it kind of took a bit longer than it should have, I think. But again, they're just... Even looking at them on eBay, like the guy says these were only like 120, 150 quid new. Yeah. Excellent. They're not that now, though. You know, if this was the way it's played now, which I assume it was before 20 years of Bucky Rage on it, was... yeah, I'd been awesome. I would probably buy one. Well, I wouldn't buy a new one, I'd buy a second-hand one. So I'd get it for 100 quid, you know what I mean? But yeah, totally. The problem is you look them up and they're like 500-600 quid for these ones. You know, huh? Which, for the cool and all that, it's what you're paying for. And it's like, yes, they do have a certain charm and a certain jangliness and a certain sound you don't get from other guitars. But, not for really, part of it would have to be cheap for me. And it's going to have to still always be a danelectro of what it is. You know, you can't have... I'm not sure. I don't know about the... It's kind of weird having that. Because as soon as I saw the wire, I was like, someone's been fucking about with this. But no, actually, it does kind of make sense. Because you got your bridge quite bright, your neck quite mellow, and in the middle louder. Because they're both powering each other. They're not... opposite wind though, so it's not humbucker, it's just two in series single coils, which is nice. A fatter sound, I suppose, but maybe that was really what they were after, because they're going up here, right, we made this guitar, blah blah blah, oh, it was quite thin, does it have any fatter sounds? No. Right, well, here's what we can do, how can we make it fatter without spending any money on it? Yeah. So I mean, I was having a bit of a rage last night about this, just because it took so flipping long to do. I did a wee bit of my special repair jobs as well, like on the headstock. See all the big chips on the headstock? No! You can't really, because, yeah, really, chips in the body, not, well, there's a big dunk there. That kind of shows you, you know, what it's made of hardboard. But I was just, you know, my special secret. Look, oh look, chips. Oh look, a black Sharpie. Oh look, that's quite a big dent to be coloured in black, but even though that's a deep one, look. What chip? Not that one. I didn't do that one. That one. Gone. Go on, amazing. Yes. Didn't ask the guy when I was going to do that. I was going to do it anyway. It's like it just takes the eye off it. Doesn't make it look better. Up close, you can still see it's chipped, but I mean, I'm all for that. I've refurbished it. No, I mean, it does have a really pleasant acousticy thing going on. I mean, you don't need an amp for this if you're sitting, learning stuff, watching the telly or something. You can almost get away with singing along with it. Oh, ho, ho, ho. So, Danelectro's interesting, and this is... No, I played one. I played one called a Hodad, something like that. But which was a Danelectro, it was one of your reissue ones, but it wasn't a real Danelectro, as in it was it was a sort of Danelectro shape, but it was basically just like it was wood. Or it was kind of like, it was sort of like basically just any sort of, like a Squire Strat or something like that, apart from it was this shape. This isn't. This is an actual one where it's made of, it's hollow and cardboard and plastic and all that crap, and it's like, yeah. So it's a real one, and I wasn't really impressed with that Hodad or whatever it was called. It's like, and plus it was £300 or something. But a admittedly really cool looking £100 Strat, but it was no. Just when I'm saying Strat, I'm just meaning like £100 budget guitar, but made out of normal stuff. So it's one of those ones. I don't know. They're going to be collector's items. They are. I mean, the original 50s ones are thousands of pounds, obviously. They were never meant to be. Whoever it was made them would be sitting there going, up here, how much money are my guitars selling for? Really? It's just like, I think they were like $99 or something in 1960 something like that, with an amp. Or you get like I think these actually, some of these maybe even came with a hard case that had an amp built in it, so you could kind of, the thing was you would have you lay down your hard case and you would open it up and the speakers would be in the lid sort of thing, and you would just plug into it. So you just have you'd have a chair sitting behind you, and you would open your hard case, plug your guitar in, plug it in at the wall, and there you go, you've got your amp kind of thing. I've never actually played through one of them, but it's quite an interesting concept. Back when amps weren't what we know as amps, like 10 watt, 15 watt was gigging amp, because that was what do you mean, a 50 watt, 4 Fender bass breakers and Marshalls and all that stuff. Bass man, not bass breaker. Yeah, so quite looking forward to taking on to these next two, the next couple of guitars. That Soviet one I'm quite worried about though. I was kind of having a look at it. One of its issues as I was moving it about, and so see if you do that, you can actually hear the truss rod going dunk, 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 dunk. So it's like, I hope that the truss rod in that is the reason it's dunk, 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 it's falling about inside the neck, is because the nut in the top's not tightened up enough. So I'm hoping assuming there's a nut on it, there is a truss rod in it. I just hope there's not a truss rod that's snapped in half, so the two halves are going dunk, dunk, dunk. So I don't really know. I mean, I did this one because this was the one I was probably most interested in playing out of the four that I've got. The Revelation one I don't think is going to be a problem because it's a modern guitar. I think it'll be much more normal. It'll be much more like one of these, so you can be particularly normal. You know what I mean, like a normal guitar. Whereas this has got a bit of jangle, and as long as you don't want to play above the 21st fret, well, I mean, they're there, but it makes it more adventurous. You saw me when you look at the faces I was pulling there. It's like pure, doing all that, and it's like pure. It's like, what are you playing? It's like, I'm playing the 15th fret. It's like 17th fret. It's like, thumb out. It's like it's an effort. It's also it's really resonant, and there's lots of things kind of branging away when you're playing it like that. Like, kind of sounds like something's rattling, but it's just the guitar. It's doing that. It's part of what it does. Okay, enough talking. This wasn't meant to be a half-hour long video, but as I said, I get more views. So I think, to be honest, the view count's the same. If you want to watch one of these videos, people who manage to, they edit these things and then cut it down to only actual useful facts and only the actual sounds you want to hear, cut it down to 3, 4, 5 minutes. Yeah, totally. Those 3, 4, 5 minutes are in this video. You just kind of skip through it until you get bored. Rock on. Love y'all.